This podcast episode has a CC by SA 4.0 license. This license requires that reusers give credit to the creator. It allows reusers to distribute, remix, adapt, and build upon the material in any medium or format, even for commercial purposes. If others remix, adapt, or build upon the material, they must license the modified material under identical terms. Thank you. Hello, this is the Collab podcast. I am Charlie Wilson. I work as the communications officer for the International Permaculture Collab. Today I have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Charlie. So my name is Andriy Grushetsky, and I'm a co-founder of Tepla Gora Eco Center and our NGO manager.
Great. So first of all, I want to ask, what is Tepla Gora and how did this project come to life?
Right. So Tepla Gora is an eco community and a retreat center in Carpathian Mountains, so west, south of Ukraine. And it's all started with really just a few friends wanted to move to Carpathians, have some people with similar values and similar vibe nearby to as neighbors, and also to do something of value. So we didn't want to kind of go out, kind of leave cities and live in woods or something. We wanted to create something of value to others, and at some point we realized that it would be a great idea to actually come together and do this together as a community. And at that time, we didn't really know what eco communities or eco villages were. So it was all like learning process for us. So we started just three of us, and then other people joined. We invited friends. So slowly our community grew. We learned more about living together, with co-livings, eco villages, and this is where we are now. We have around 5 hectares of land in the Carpathian Mountains in very picturesque location. We have hostel, which is hostel/co-living. We also have plant-based kitchen. We have a beautiful garden, forest nearby, and people are coming to Tepla Gora to volunteer, to stay with us. Some people come to join as team members or community members. So that's in a nutshell.
Yes, great. Sounds beautiful. And so you mentioned there were a few people at the beginning. So how many founders were there?
So there were 3 founders initially, but I think if you're talking about founders, I think many people who joined in the first year or in second, and even like because we started in the end of 2019, right? So people like early members were joining in 2020, 2021, and for me, like I consider them all to be like co-founders because those were still like very early days, right? So yeah, that's how it feels right now.
Great, very nice. And how do you work on like making decisions as a community, keeping some harmony, things like this?
Yeah, so it's a continuous kind of learning process for us. So we've been looking in different models. I guess right now we trying to implement teal organization principles, so very kind of horizontal structure, and people can do generally what they want as long as they discuss it with everyone who this decision or this action may affect. So that involves other team members, it may involve community members or guests or our neighbors as well, local community. So there is a lot of like freedom for expression. It's not always it doesn't always work perfectly. You know, sometimes there are issues, sometimes there are conflicts. It's, you know, it's a community, it's life. So we try to learn from each issue and kind of move on, you know, with better understanding, better wider maybe view on things. But yeah, it's been a learning curve for us for sure.
Yes. Okay, great. And looking at your website and seeing you a little bit on the collab, I understand that you're making some really good efforts to help people in Ukraine, and you are hosting some people for free. Maybe you can say something about this.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that's the main focus of Tepla Gora since the first day of the war, really. Once when the Russian invasion started in 2022, 24th of February. On day one, many people from our community, our friends, were looking for some safe place where they could come. And it happened that Tepla Gora is like quite remote location. It's in the mountains. So obviously we announced it through our like channels. People can come if they're looking for a safe place right now. And on the first day, we already had first refugees. Although actually on the first day, we would like the eco center actually was closed for the winter because we were not ready for the winter at the time. But we just had no choice and decided to reopen and just adapt. And yeah, we started buying like radiators, blankets. So for example, Jan Ukraine, maybe you know Jan, right, Global Coalition Network. So they were helping us a lot in those early days. And at some point we realized that many people have like similar needs. So they all kind of needed, you know, their physical needs met, like just food and warm space. Also psychological needs. So they need support, and some of them also need like logistical needs in terms of moving on, you know, maybe moving abroad or finding like more permanent home. So we decided to create this like, you know, we kind of united these different like tracks and created this Kolo program. Kolo meaning circle in Ukrainian, or coming in circle. And yeah, just shared it as much as we can and invited people to come. And then we pretty much worked as a shelter in 2022. Then when the initial wave of refugees kind of came down because many people already moved or left Ukraine or settled. So then we kind of moved into this retreat mode in 2023, where we're still offering people who had to leave their home to come to Tepla Gora for some period to just rest and recharge. Also, the same applies for veterans, for military people, guys who also need a break. You know, we hosted also retreats with our partners for military personnel, where they could also rest. And we also hosted volunteers of the front line. So those people also, many of them, especially at the end of last year, they were on a edge of burning out. And a lot of them needed like support and just, you know, quiet environment where there is no sirens, there is no alarms, no explosions, and they could just have a bit of, you know, space or of quiet space to rest and recharge. So, and we continue doing this throughout this year. I think now we hosted around close to 400 people during this period since the war started for different periods. Some stayed, a couple of weeks, some stayed more than a year, and some of them actually joined the community now. So it works in different ways. But obviously, yeah, for us it's important that to contribute to to recovery of Ukraine as soon as possible. Obviously, to victory and to recovery.
Yeah, amazing. Wow. What a wonderful service to the community.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that you offer this, and I'm sure it's really, really needed. And these people are really in need of your help and your support. Um, yeah, I wonder, yeah, this is quite a big undertaking, giving people shelter and food, also mental health support. Did you receive some help with funding? How did you manage to fund all of this?
Yeah. Actually, the only when the war began, obviously we pulled all the resources we could. Also, as I mentioned, Gen Ukraine was helping a lot at the time. Then other organizations like Razum, it's Ukrainian US-based foundation of Ukrainian diaspora that is helping Ukraine a lot during the war. So they supported us as well financially in order to provide food and some other basics for people who stayed with us. Then a little later, at the end of the last year, we also partnered with the Fondation de France, Fondation de France. So they've been supporting us since end of last year till they're still supporting us. So I think it's been very valuable for both of us partnership.
Yeah.
And obviously very grateful for their support. And we had also small donors in Ukraine and abroad who were supporting us both from part of our community and also kind of extensive community. So yeah, I think the value of community is especially kind of felt, when something like this happened, something that completely were unimaginable before it happened, actually,
Yeah, sure. In the times of crisis, people have to come together, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's great that you have this support and this help. And I wonder when people stay at Tepla Gora, like what is their experience? What can they expect? What would an average kind of day look like?
Yeah, well, some people say that Tepla Gora is always different. So they, come at one period, then they come like half a year later, and they say it like different place because it's very dynamic, and it very depends on who at the place right now, because people are making the vibe, and it's very much a vibe of co-living. So it's like everyone who comes, they can get this feeling of what it's like to live in a community. So it's quite not sure if it's unique, but it's not that common, that you can come to a place and kind of feel being part of it, part of the community, and it's can be felt through common activities, through sharing circles, through common meals, but also from co-creation. So really anyone who's has an idea or inspiration, or they want to contribute or change something, they can, So we're very welcoming of that. So but people can self express as a guest, but also as a volunteer, or if they become long-term volunteer, we call them makers, part of the team then. So they can, take a more active role. But even if someone comes for just a couple of days, for us, it's important for them to feel supported, so they can feel rest, recharged, and inspired as well. maybe meet new friends here. And obviously nature around also helps.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, nature is very restorative. Being in a beautiful environment, I think, makes so much difference to our mental well-being. And
Yeah.
when you talk about the eco living, I wonder what makes it eco living? Like, what kind of eco solutions are you
Uh-huh.
using? How are you implementing this in daily life? These green solutions.
Yeah. So it's actually we have this concept of inner and outer ecology, and inner is more about personal well-being, health, mental health, and physical health, also integrity, things like that. And outer ecology is about our relationships with the environment, with natural environment, and so some of the things that we implemented in terms of outer ecology, in terms of sustainability. For example, we collect rainwater. So we installed a system to collect rainwater from the roofs. Then we store it, filter it, and it's actually drinkable at the end. So people can actually drink rainwater at the kitchen, where it's like mineralized, filtered and mineralized. And apart from that, we use solar energy, and we also looking to install wind turbine. It's already on the site, but it takes a bit of effort to actually install it. So trying to go as much green in terms of energy we use as much as possible over time, to try to be either completely off grid or not so dependent on it.
Mm.
Also, we use organic personal care products. So organic toothpaste, soap, and shampoo is actually provided free of charge for guests, so they don't need to bring their own personal care products with them. And we also use compost toilets, and we already have actually biogas toilets system that's due to be installed. Either I still hope that maybe we can have opportunity to install it this year. If not, then early next year. So these are some of the things. Obviously, we recycle waste. And
Yeah,
always thinking what's next we can do actually.
yeah, great. I mean, getting off grid, I think obviously you're minimizing your impact on the environment, but I think you're also creating this independence. You don't have to rely on the main grid, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, it sounds like a big project to get off the ground. Sounds like it's built up quite a lot. You've had a lot of people coming through. Obviously, you've had the war to deal with. Um, Maybe you can tell me what have been some of your biggest challenges during this project and how you overcame them.
Yeah, I think biggest challenges. It's hard to pinpoint just one. I guess one of the challenges this summer, so we also hosted like a yoga gathering here, and it was quite a big event for us. So it was 200, a bit more than 200 people actually, for 10 days at Tepla Gora. And before that, we usually had like 20, 30, maybe up to 50 people. But then, so this kind of scale was quite challenging for us. And I guess it's also was challenging in terms of managing the communication with community around this, because obviously war is going, and people from our village also, many died, and many still at the war, at the front line right now. And then we're hosting yoga, like
Mm,
retreat, big yoga retreat, and some people do not understand it. It was challenging actually to communicate why we do it, the value of it. But for us, I guess the main the reason we actually hosted this event is because it provides people with opportunity to rest and recharge. So actually many people who came there, they also military guys, and some of them volunteers, So yoga for them is the ability to actually have strength and balance during these challenging times,
Yeah.
So it's a bit tricky to actually sometimes manage the communication with local community, but when you actually explain the value of it and that people still contribute to the common good, to the victory of Ukraine, like it works. You can explain it. It just takes time. Sometimes you need a bit of more patience, and calm to talk it through, But so communication, I guess, sometimes a challenge, but it's really key. I guess it's a key thing.
Yeah, sure. And I guess when there's lots of people involved, it becomes more complicated. And so it's more crucial to communicate really clearly, really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
I guess another challenge I would mention is just managing large number of volunteers.
Yes.
So sometimes this can be tricky, but I'm very lucky. We had amazing team who did really good job with that. So it's challenging, but it's important to have people on the team who who knows how to organize these kind of things and
Yes.
how to manage communication as well.
Yeah, sure. So having some experience on the team. Great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some of the financial help you've received. I wonder what other kind of support your project has received, for the duration as you were getting started during the last couple of years. Any kind of support or help you've received.
Yeah, so I would say that one thing I would like to mention also that we partnered with Collab, right? So we received also financial help from Collab to create an eco-market of organic produce, also from permaculture farms, including permaculture farms. So it's both offline and online, and we actually working in it. Due to complete the main kind of release web version by the mid-October. And actually one of the key person on the project, she's herself was a refugee. She came to Tepla Gora as a refugee, and then she became part of the team, and then she's got involved in this eco-market projects. Her name is Irina Kotsar. And she's developing the eco-market now, obviously with help of Collab. And I think in terms of other help, what first comes to mind is really volunteers and the team, who were first volunteers and became the team, and all the contributions they made. So it's hard to imagine that to do it all by just like in traditional kind of commercial style organization with very little funding. So I think what's interesting about Tepla Gora, that's so kind of community driven, so we didn't have like a lot of investment or a lot of funding when we started. So we're like pretty much crowdfunding. So from friends, coming together, and it's been developing like that, Obviously now with the help of other organizations who supported us during the war, it also helps. But in essence, it's really about the community, and I feel sometimes like very just amazed and grateful how this works.
Yes.
And it's all down to this horizontal connection in the community, really.
Yeah, wow, that's very inspiring. Not starting out with a huge pot of money, but just building as you go along and pulling on all the resources around you and getting the
Right.
support. Yeah, it's very, very inspiring. I think it
Yeah.
takes a lot of vision and like pushing through to make this happen.
Yeah, patience and persistence as well.
Yeah, sure. I can imagine. So I wonder what are the different ways people can get involved in your project or help out, like the different levels people can contribute, and yeah, how can they make it happen?
Yeah, so there are different several um, different ways. Um, so people can come and volunteer at Tepla Gora. Um, so we have different um, tracks for volunteering, different domains or areas. So there is host volunteering, which is all about caring for the guests, for residents, for the space itself. Then there is create volunteering, which involves eco building, eco construction, and kind of an energy projects. Then we have also uh, uh, grow volunteering, which to do with permaculture projects and with farm. Then we have also inspire volunteer, that's people who want to help out with digital projects, and translations and things like that. We're also dreaming about podcasts in the future. That's great. Podcasts that will be part of our like inspire track. Um, and yeah, and sometimes from volunteering, people then later decide to actually be part of the team as well. Kind of long term, with a long term vision. And so yeah, so that's kind of terms of part volunteering, becoming part of the team. Other ways to get involved. So we also have like this part of the project which is about tiny houses. We haven't built any tiny houses yet, but we put some clamps this summer. We already installed like 3 clamps and two teepees. So these are like I'm not sure if you're familiar with this concept, but these are really like very comfortable kind of big tents.
Mm,
They almost like homes, right? But
yeah.
on a very budget option. So yeah, so someone who wants to maybe be a long-term member of the community, they can invest in their own tiny house or in a glam to start with, for example, and then later transition towards building a tiny house. Then obviously there are other ways to support us financially. We're right now raising money to replace our old 4x4 SUV because obviously we're in mountains and it's not very easy to get to us sometimes. And our vehicle is super old and rusty and breaks down all the time. So it's kind of sometimes it's a bit like money sink. It's all the time in
Yes.
the garage. So really we want now to donate it to the army needs because there are guys there who can good with hands and they can fix it quite quickly and use it. And we fundraising to replace that vehicle with something more reliable for the winter and for the new season. So obviously financial donations help, more than welcome, of course. And another way is to just visit, and stay here and experience place for yourself. And then who knows, maybe you get inspired to get involved somewhere in other way.
Okay, great. Yeah. So there's a few different ways, different skills people can bring, and different ways people can contribute. Okay, wonderful. So thank you for all the information. It's super interesting and yeah, very inspiring. All the work you've been doing and all the ways you've been helping people. We're going to end soon. So I wonder, is there anything else you wanted to say? Anything I didn't ask?
I think yeah, there may be many things, but I would just invite people to visit us, because I know that for many Europeans right now, Ukraine seems like not a very safe place to go. Maybe it's a bit crazy idea to visit country at all. But I would say that it's not like the war. I mean, it's everywhere. Yeah, there is risk everywhere, but at the same time, people still live, or at least get on with their normal lives, in cities, in towns, in villages. And in west of Ukraine is relatively safe, I would say. And where we are, we never had any explosions or, missiles, something like that. So it's one of the safest places in Ukraine, fingers crossed it remains like that. And I would just invite, invite guests to visit us. It's relatively safe, and from there you can also maybe explore for yourself other opportunities in Ukraine, in terms of maybe just connecting with local people, because even sometimes when people come to Ukraine, like then we know that we are not alone, in everything that happens. It's actually people care. And when someone's come here, it's like the greatest level of care, because they actually come to see for themselves what's happening, talk to people. And I think for us, it's this connection with Europe, with the world right now is super important. And I think every Ukrainian is very grateful to all countries and people who are supporting us. I think we couldn't do it alone, and it doesn't feel like we're alone in this war. It feels like we have strong support. And so thank you very much for that. And I hope that I'll see you in Ukraine and Tepla Gora. You're very, very welcome.
Yeah, great, wonderful. Thank you. So to wrap up, if you summed up your vision, your mission, your project in just a few short sentences, what would you say?
It's quite simple. So our mission is really to assist people in recovering, and also to inspire them either for positive changes, either in their personal life or in their communities, or for making positive change for the planet itself. So that would be our mission.
Okay, yes, wonderful. So it's been a pleasure, and thank you to everybody listening, and thank you to Andrei. Yeah, it's been great to hear more about your project, to get some insight into everything you're doing, all the people you're helping. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye for now.